This is the kind of post that I did that got me sales before I even finished writing the book, which is like so amazing to me. Here's how to market your book on Instagram or TikTok, even if you're not done writing it. We're going to talk about 8 post types. So these are content posts that you can plan ahead of time that are fairly easy. People make this harder than it needs to be. Doesn't need to be super hard. It's something that I am trying out, but honestly, I only did one of these posts and my book sold better than most for a self-published book that's not even on Amazon. It's kind of amazing, actually. But going forward, I have a new edition coming out, and so I'm going to be remarketing the book and telling you how I am doing it. So I'm going to be focusing on these 8 content types. So the first is something you're very familiar with more than likely, and that is a quote. A minimalist quote from your book, a really good line from your book that's on a really simple, minimal background. And these days you might want to throw some sound behind it since Instagram allows you to do that. It's a good idea because it helps people sort of go along with the reading of it, and then you can also select music that kind of fits the mood of that particular passage or that quote. The second thing is a takeaway carousel. Now there's a couple reasons for doing this. One is the way that it packages information is kind of nice. So say you do like a takeaway from a chapter. So for example, I have a chapter that's like how to build empathy. And in that there's 3 ways to build empathy. And so you could do a title card. So it would be essentially the chapter title. The next slide is going to be the first point, second point, third point, and the end card is going to be like your promotional, where this came from in the book. Think Case Kenny, he just nails this basically. He absolutely nails this. But the second post type is just takeaways from a particular chapter. The third kind of post you could do is a thought-provoking question. So in my case, my book is called Love is the Business Plan. And so a natural sort of question that might come out of that is, when was the last time you made a decision in your business that was rooted in love? What was that? What does it look like? And then encouraging comments. Really straightforward, but you do want something that's like a little bit thought-provoking, right? You don't want like a rhetorical question. You don't want a really easy question. If you do this right, you could do a question that gives you responses that you can build on. Have you ever fired a client and why, right? Like this is a thought-provoking question. This gets people thinking and then helps people share their experience, and it's engaging. Like that is actually naturally quite engaging. So you want to think thought-provoking questions. The fourth one is a storytelling post. So a storytelling post is actually harder than it looks because it requires you to have some kind of structure. And I've got some cool templates for that. Biggest thing with a storytelling post is a hook, right? I'm sure you've heard this a million times. You need a really good hook. You need a really strong hook. That is the most important part of a storytelling post. But the easiest way to think about it, I like things to be quite easy on social media, a storytelling post is something that's actually happened to you or has happened to someone that you know or something that you've learned, but it's some kind of storytelling that ideally comes from the book. So you can say something like, I realized that my business did not burn down when I stopped taking meetings on Mondays and Fridays. It was like a crazy thing. People were like, you don't work Mondays? I was like, I don't work Mondays. It's totally fine. And that influenced a lot of the way that I work. But that would be something like a storytelling post. It's like I'm sort of harping in on something, a decision that I made or a client experience that I had, and I'm just talking about it. The fifth thing is a behind the scenes look at sort of the making of the book or the thought process of the book. So in my case, I had a blog post for Delivering Happiness that I wrote years ago, like 2015. And it was called The New Business Plan, Love. And it wasn't until 7 years later that I wrote a book which was essentially based on that particular blog post. So that would be an example of like a behind the scenes. How did this book even happen? How did it come up? What was the spark? What was the idea for it? And how has it evolved over time? People like to know those things. The sixth thing is a mini lesson. This is a single takeaway from a chapter. So it's a little bit different. It's not like the summary of a chapter in that carousel reel. This is just one actionable takeaway. The keyword there is actionable. It's something they can do right now, right away, without question. Actionable takeaway or mini lesson. A good example of that is something like, for all of my consultations, I will add a custom question that says, what would make this meeting a success for you? And that essentially gives me the answer, helps me know what to aim for in all of my consults. 7 is some kind of interactive content. We talked about it briefly where you could do something that encourages engagement in the form of comments, but this might be something like in the form of quizzes. So something like a poll is really good here, or a survey is really good here as well. That's kind of an easy one to do if you want to poll your audience and just kind of get feedback on something in particular. I do actually like to use the functions on Instagram rather than like comment below for this thing. if I'm doing like a proper survey, I'd like to see like the actual results from that. And I think it's very cool when other people see results from that. So I do like to share those every once in a while. And then the 8th thing is probably the most powerful thing I have ever done. This is the kind of post that I did that got me sales before I even finished writing the book, which is like so amazing to me. But this is called a testimonial post. And I'm sure you've heard of it. It's something like you take, something nice that somebody says about your book or about something you've written, and you screenshot it and share it to your socials. I did this a little bit differently before I finished writing the book. I set my book to pre-sales on, meaning people could purchase it before it was actually on sale. And so what I would do is I enabled it. The moment someone purchased, I screenshot it, and then I posted it, and then I tagged them. And what ended up happening is people started to, when they were tagged, they started to share that. So it was like a point of leverage, right? And a point of social proof, because now it wasn't just reaching my audience. They would reshare, and now it would reach their audience. There was just proof that, hey, somebody else bought this, so they must believe in it at least a little bit, enough to buy it. That sort of leverage was amazing for the pre-sales of my book. It's also really just great whenever you've launched this book, right? So if somebody says something nice about your book, or you get a sale, screenshot it, post it, tag them if you can find them on social media. It's a really great way to just give social proof to the stuff that you're doing in general, but especially with a book, because social proof is such a powerful thing. Those are the 8 ways to market your book on social media. So I'm going to do a summary. Hold on. We got quote from the book, some kind of minimalist quote. We've got a takeaway from a chapter done in a carousel. We've got thought-provoking question, something to create engagement via comments. We've got storytelling posts, is something that's actually happened to you, some kind of experience or decision that you've made. These kind of teach people how you think and just how you approach things. We have a behind the scenes, so how you actually came up with the book, how it evolved over time. Even like struggles, challenges, something cool that happened. These are all behind the scenes. Mini lesson, so this is one actionable takeaway from a chapter, from any portion of your book. Interactive content, so this might be like a quiz or a survey or some kind of poll that you do. And then a testimonial, some kind of social proof post where somebody says something nice, or they purchase your book, and you can screenshot it and share that with your audience. I hope that this has been really helpful. If you have any questions, hit the comments down below. And if you are new here, help me make this channel better by subscribing, by commenting, by letting me know what you would like to see. This is going to be a really fun experiment, but it is an experiment I'm taking seriously. So I am super grateful that you're here. It means a lot to me if you do subscribe to this channel, and I do follow the comments and will respond. Hope this was helpful. I will talk to you soon.